The AlphaRex Nova Series LED projector headlights that we have here today will be a premium option for all 2018 through 2020 halogen-equipped F-150 owners looking for a massive upgrade in every way, loaded with a ton of features. Now, in addition to that, you are going to get a very sinister look here thanks to the Alpha Black housing and that clear lens. Now, these DOT-approved Nova Series options will combine the LED-loaded high and low beam projectors, along with the LED daytime running lights and sequential turn signals, all for right around that $1,500 price point. All right, guys, let's move into our features block here because there is a lot to talk about. And right off the rip, I do want to say that these lights are going to convert your truck's factory halogen headlight to a modern and much brighter LED projector for both your low and your high beams. To me, this is the biggest feature because this is a massive upgrade. Your uppermost projectors here, these are going to handle your low beam duties, while the lower projectors down here will be for your high beams. And overall, again, just a massive upgrade. Not only much better nighttime visibility and better output, but just a much cooler look as well, especially when you compare them to those boring factory halogen headlights. Now, the LED projectors are only one part of the equation here when it comes to lights, guys. These are also going to feature a built-in daytime running light, all LED, of course, running the perimeter of the lighting themselves or the housing themselves in that C-bar shape. Now, these DRLs will be set up for either white or amber depending on the owner. It is pretty easy to switch even with the lights installed, so if you eventually want to go from white to amber after having the headlights installed for a few weeks, switch it up a bit, you certainly can do it, and you don't have to uninstall the lights to do so. Next up in the lighting department, the Nova Series options will feature sequential turn signals built into the DRLs that we just talked about here. And again, those are going to illuminate in amber thanks to the LEDs, which I think kicks things up a notch over your basic factory headlights. Last but not least here, one of my favorite things with the AlphaRex headlights will be their activation sequence whenever you unlock your truck, which is basically going to flash a bunch of the lights, both white and amber, in a really cool combination. Just again, kind of contributes to a more custom or modified look. Now, moving into construction, and all of that fancy LED lighting has been loaded into a very nice Alpha Black housing here. They're going to utilize a polypropylene housing, and they're going to top that off with a unique polycarbonate lens that actually has a baked-in anti-fog agent and UV agent to keep things from fogging up, but also to keep things from yellowing or fading on you over the years. Now, that Alpha Black appearance is a great option for F-150 owners looking to kind of black out or smoke out all of the lighting on their rig. Certainly is going to contribute to a very aggressive look. Now, in addition to that, guys, the AlphaRex lights do also include what they call their breathing vents to actually help these lights breathe, if you will, for lack of a better word, and ultimately prevent moisture or condensation from building up over time. Last but not least, guys, these lights have been given both the DOT and SAE stamp of approval, which does make them legal for use in all 50 states. They are also backed by a 2-year limited warranty in case you run into any issues. Price point for the Nova Series options from AlphaRex will land you around $1,500, give or take a little bit here, which does place these firmly in the more premium category, as we did mention earlier. Now, that being said, these are still a few $100 less than the Morimoto XB options. Also a very nice set of headlights, but those are essentially going to round out the top of the price point for the headlight category. All right, last but not least, now we want to show you what it takes to get the headlights installed on your F-150 at home here, guys. Really not that bad of a job, especially considering the fact that these are a plug and play headlight, which is really nice considering all the upgrades that you are getting here. Site's going to call this a solid 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, at least an hour to get in place from start to finish. Might take you a little bit longer if you've never had the truck apart before, but ultimately not a bad job. Now, to give you a better idea of what you're in for in the garage or driveway, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
For this install, you need a ratchet, a 13, 10, 8, and 7mm socket, a 3/8 extension, Phillips head screwdriver, and a clip removal tool.
All right, today we're going to be installing some headlights on our F-150.
First, we'll watch a quick video to uninstall the stock ones, then we'll come back here to install the new ones.
First thing we need to do to remove our headlights is remove this filler panel underneath our grille. And to do that, there are 2 screws on either end of this filler panel in the fender lip area. Then we're going to use our 7mm socket to remove those 2 screws on each side. All right, so we've got 2 7mm bolts right here on the inside of the fender lip. So we're going to go ahead and remove those with our 7mm socket. And now you can remove the 2 screws on the other side of the vehicle. Now with our screws removed, we can just grab a hold of the inside edge of this filler panel and start pulling it away. It's only held in with plastic clips, so we just grab a hold, give it a tug, and start pulling it away. Next thing we're going to do is remove our radiator shroud here, and we've got 14 push pins that we need to remove. To do that, we're going to use our trim removal tool and just pop these up out of the way. Now with the push pins removed, we should just be able to lift this up and pull it away. All right, next we've got a couple of connectors here that need to be disconnected. Depending on the configuration of your truck, you may have 1 or 2, but let's go ahead and get those disconnected first, and then we'll remove the 4 10mm bolts on top to go ahead and remove our grill. So here are our connectors. You're just gonna reach in, push down on the release lever, and disconnect it. Same thing for the other one. Now, like I said, you may have 1 or more. Just push in on the release lever and pop it out. Now you may also have a plastic push pin connector right here to hold the harness in place. Ours happens to be missing, but just go ahead and pop that out with your trim removal tool, and then we can remove the 4 bolts on the top. Now we've got 2 13mm bolts, 1 in the corner here and 1 on the other side of the grill. So we'll go ahead and remove those, and then we can slide our grill out. All right, now just grab a hold of your grill and pull it straight back. All right, now we're ready to remove our headlight. And to do that, we've got 2 10mm screws at the top here, plus this plastic push pin. So we'll use our trim removal tool to remove the plastic push pin and our 10mm socket to remove those 2 bolts. All right, now we've got 3 more to remove at the bottom here. We've got an 8mm here on the inside, a 10mm next to it, and another 10mm on the outside. So we'll go ahead and take those out. Now we get our 8mm. All right, now we need to separate this plastic trim piece at the bottom from our headlight. So we'll use our trim removal tool and just pry this down and get it separated. And then we can go ahead and pull our headlight straight back. Now we can disconnect our 3 connectors at the back of our light simply by pushing in on the release lever on the connector and pulling it straight back. And now you can repeat that process for the other light.
Now before we get our headlights installed, we just want to go over one of the features. Now you do have a white or an amber DRL. We're just going to show you how to switch that. Now they do come with a white DRL out of the box, but in order to switch it, we just need to take off our lower cover here. So we're going to grab our ratchet and a Phillips head bit socket, or you can just grab a Phillips head screwdriver. We're just doing this to make this a little faster. We have 3 screws for this bracket here. Pop that off. Then you'll see this cover here, same thing. We have 4 more Phillips head screws. Now once you have the exposed, you will reach in and you will see. Now you see these 2 connectors here, they're disconnected. When it's disconnected, it is a white DRL. And you plug them in together. It will be amber DRLs. Now you can either go ahead and switch it on the other headlight, just like this one. We're just gonna leave ours white for now. We're just gonna re-secure everything. And put our lower trim piece back on. And then reinstall our 3 screws. And like I said, you can either go ahead and switch the other headlight to amber or just leave it as it is to keep it as white. So now we're ready to get our headlight in place. We're just gonna plug in our 3 harnesses. So we have our small one on the inside and then our 2 main harnesses. Get those plugged in. And we can go ahead and get our headlight into place. Lock in our lower trim, and we can go ahead and get our 2 10mm bolts up top secured, along with our push clip. So let's get that in place. And then our 2 10s. Grab our ratchet, 10mm socket, tighten these 2 down. So we have our 1 10mm bolt we got to reinstall on the side. So we're going to come around the front, and we have a 10 and an 8mm. We have our 10 on our lower trim here. Just got to get that lined up, get that threaded in. Grab a ratchet socket and tighten that down. Switch to an 8mm socket. We're going to install our 8mm bolt right here. Now that you have this headlight all secured, you can go and repeat those same steps on the other side of the truck. Next, we can get our grill back into place. We're just gonna line up all of our tabs. and lock it in. Then we have two 13mm at the bottom and four 10mm at the top. At the bottom of the grill on the inside here, we have our 13mm bolt. So we're gonna put that, thread that in, grab our ratchet, extension, and 13mm socket, tighten that down. Then you go ahead and do the same thing on the other side for the other 13mm bolt. We have our two wiring harnesses we just need to reconnect. We have our one connector there, other one here, push them down till they click. We can go ahead and get our bolts in now. So we're gonna get our 10mm bolts threaded in, then grab our ratchet, 10mm socket, and tighten them down. All right, and while we're here, we can get our rad cover back in place. Just gonna slide up under our intake scoop here. And go ahead and reinstall all of our push clips going across. Lastly, we just have to put our lower trim on, so we'll get that lined up. All right, then we just have our bolts inside our fender well. So we have our two 7mm bolts. We get those threaded in. Then we grab our ratchet, 7mm socket, tighten them down. Then you just go ahead and do the same thing on the other side of the truck. And that wraps up our install of our AlphaRex Nova Series LED projector headlights with an alpha black housing and the clear lens for our 2018 and 2020 F-150 with factory halogen headlights. And remember, for everything F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.